Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. This is a working meeting for the governing board, the first of the year, and I just want to welcome everybody and say thank you for coming. And if you would, I'd like to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Always love to hear that. Okay, let's see. We do have a quorum. We've got 8 of the 9 directors here. Director Vines is in the hospital. Hopefully it's not anything too serious, but she does have an excused absence. Okay? All right. Since we do have a couple of new members on the board this year, I think introductions are in order. Roberta, would you mind starting, please? And if you have a committee, give your committee affiliation.
Roberta Davidson, Chair of the Properties Committee.
Harry Stanabine, Chair of the Golf Committee.
Jack Leary, Chair of the Chartered Clubs Committee, and I'm one of the newbies.
Hi, I'm Ann Brown. I'm the Governing Board Vice President, and I'm a member of Budget and Finance Committee.
I'm Tim Hurley. I'm the president of the board, and Jack is too proud to say it, but he is our secretary. I'm sorry.
Kay Williams. I'm a member of the Properties Committee.
Sharon Heddick, board member.
I'm Dick Rhodes, newly elected board member and also the chairman of the Budget and Finance Committee.
Okay, thank you. And over in the corner in the green is Karen Repkin, our executive assistant, and Bonnie Ellis, our parliamentarian, hiding here behind the scenes. Okay, our first order of business is to approve the minutes from the June 10th, 2022 Governing Board workshop meetings. Are there any changes or corrections? Seeing none, they will stand as written. Okay? We have a couple of housekeeping items here. The first one under new business is a recommendation for the FI-15 section. And basically what this is, it was brought to our attention that FI-15 is ambiguous as it refers to the bylaw 4.19. The bylaw says that approving the annual financial plan for the following year by the affirmative vote of at least 6 of the governing board directors prior to the last day of May. And the policy says at a regular board meeting in May, and that needs to be changed to prior to the last day of May. So do I have consensus to move this on to the governing board meeting for a vote?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. All right. Next order of business, 3.02, is possible CCR recommendation, or Charter Club recommendations. And with this, I want to introduce kind of a new topic that I'd like for the board to discuss. And that is, I want to use C3, and that's the Chartered Club. Is it up there? It basically says what the Charter Club duties are. And standing committees, this Charter Club is one of 5 that we have. And they're important to the way the board works because they act as an extension of the board, not only in helping to analyze and investigate, make recommendations to the board and general manager, but also they help us reach out into the community because each committee has 7 or 8 members, so that's 7 or 8 times the number of the 9 board members. The whole idea is to get more input from and to the field, so that's why they're so important. At each one of the committee meetings, staff gives reports to the committee, and the staff has an incredible amount of data at their fingertips. And without direction, we could be wasting their time, and it's important that staff reports be as cogent and focused as possible. So I'm going to issue a challenge to the board, okay? The question is, what information would you like to see from each committee and why. Okay? The idea of this is trying to get focus from the committees to provide information that we will find helpful. And I want you to look at this from two perspectives. One is as a board director and your duties on oversight. The other one is as a general member. Okay, so that would be more of a broader look at what the committees are doing. And this will have a couple of benefits. It will assist the staff in compiling their reports to the committee and to the board, and it should focus all the inputs into more germane areas. And it will provide information to keep the interested members informed. So take a week, think about this, get back to me with your ideas, and I'll compile them and we will discuss them at the general meeting at the end of the month. Okay? This hopefully will be part of a communication policy that describes how the board and committees communicate with each other, how we communicate with the general manager and his staff, and how the board communicates with its members. So, any question on that? Yes. Roberta?
I guess you're gonna have to repeat it, because I don't quite understand what you're asking us to do.
Okay, what I'm asking is, each committee is responsible for a key part of our oversight of the organization, okay? The question is basically simply, what information do you want from the individual committees that will help you do your job? What information do you want from golf, from chartered clubs, BNF, and of course properties, and sports pavilion? Okay, it's just a way to get the information that we want, rather than just the information that gets put up and recited every committee meeting. Just trying to get it more focused on what we actually want to hear and need to do our job. Does that help? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And
Do you want us to look at this in relation to this policy for the different clubs? Is that what you're wanting to do at the CO3?
well, what I was trying to do is to just use the chartered club, those aspects of what their duty and responsibilities as an example
Okay,
of what
that's
clubs
I
do.
wanted.
Right,
Okay.
what clubs do. What I really want to get down to is, what information do we want? And once we tell the clubs can figure out how to format it and talk to their staff personnel to provide that,
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
All right? Any other questions? Okay, moving right along. That was quick, that was quick. Capital projects update. Carl, are you ready?
Absolutely. Good morning, Governing Board. Thank you, Mr. President. Since the last time we met between May and June, it's been a little longer since we met with Properties Committee, so this list is basically a reflective list of the capital review from the Properties Committee from yesterday. But it'll give you a great opportunity to see what has been accomplished since May. I'd like to begin at R.H. Johnson. I will pause at the rec center's areas and give you an opportunity in case you have any questions, because it's a pretty long list. Starting off, we completed on 5/22 the men's club flooring replacement, and if you're interested, we have displayed some photos to go with some of the line items that I'm going to be talking about today. Over at Men's Club, we completed on 6/6/22 the millwork and countertops. Over at the Social Hall, hardwood screen and seal project was completed on 7/7/22. Environmental Services Office addition was completed on 7/14, and we're very proud that staff has got a really beautiful location to do their business out of now. So again, those photos are up on the screen. The admin building the Code Compliance Office Village Meeting Room remodel was completed on 7/14. The admin building interior lighting conversion to LED fixtures in only the admin building at R.H. Johnson was completed on 7/14. We move over to the Agriculture Club. We did a seal coat project for their entry on 7/16. Rip and Sew Club Millwork Reface. The phase one was begun was begun the week of 8/5 and completed on 8/5. Phase two is in progress as we are here today, and that is going quite well. That room will also get a full paint job and go into the FY 22-23 capital line item called energy conservation light fixture renovation, and they'll get their new lighting while that room is closed. R.H. Johnson Recreation Center interior lighting conversion to LED fixtures overall has begun in the library due to the library closure, due to the asphalt being removed. I will approach this project and continue around the whole entire rec center of replacing our old interior fixtures with the new LED, as I have closures as a priority, and then we will pick up and do room by room and announce to the clubs with plenty of advance notice that for a couple of days in each location they'll have a closure to change out their lighting. As you drove in this morning, you probably saw the R.H. Johnson parking lot 2, and that is between our R.H. Johnson Common Drive on the south side of the rec center here, through the library and up to the Meeker Common Drive. That is phase one. That asphalt mill and replacement is underway. And when that is 100% complete and striped, we will move on to phase two, which is from the south side of ARC through the Men's Club and the Pickleball and Meeker Common Drive areas. The metal shop parking lot, asphalt mill and replace, was completed this week on Monday. And the R.H. Johnson admin building carpet replacement has begun yesterday. And so currently today, in the first of 3 phases, 3 weeks consecutive, today we are doing member services in the events areas. So they are been displaced and working elsewhere, and that area is closed and the carpet is being installed as we speak. Any questions for R.H. Johnson?
I just would like to know if there is a possibility going forward with these, that I see that, that it's a budget item. Can you give us what the amount, I'm sure that you probably don't have this today, but I'd like to know what it was, how much was budgeted for, and what the actual was, so I can see how we are in regards to the finance side.
If the governing board president requests that of me, I'd be happy to provide that. Otherwise, that information is fully provided at the BNF meeting as well. Just
right, but if everybody doesn't attend the BNF meeting and they are residents, they sometimes want to know how we're doing in relationship.
I'd be happy to provide that if I'm requested.
Carl, we can discuss this offline.
Very good. Thank you.
Carl, we can discuss this offline.
Very good. Thank you. Beardsley, the Garden Club new greenhouse project was completed 5/17/22. Interior of the swim and fitness building, we completed on 5/27, the pool and spa area wall decor. Go over there and check it out. It's been quite the dramatic change, and the reception has been quite positive. I spent an hour in there just meeting with our members and just getting the feel, and they were quite happy. Also in that same area, we did a end of pool flooring carpet replacement, which took out all the old fountains and the wall waterfall. And in the photo, you'll see here that we have the new rubber flooring, identical to the flooring that is on the Kuntz pool deck. That is also complete. And then finally, we've been working months on the swim and fitments lobby enclosure. That project is virtually complete. We have a temporary certificate of occupancy from Maricopa County. The reason for that temporary certificate of occupancy is we still do not have the 3 windows fabricated for the entry arches. The industry is just completely backlogged on them materials and fabricators. I actually have the material, but I'm waiting in line to have it fabricated and bent to arched windows, and then followed by the custom glass install. So fully functional space. It's air conditioned, it's beautiful, and as soon as I have the scheduled date for install, we will complete that space. And what that'll involve is install the windows, close off a small area of that lobby, and do drywall completion around where the wrap goes to the window frames, and a little bit of stucco exterior and paint. So moving on to Clay Club, the new monitor station was completed on 8/11. And that area got a full paint upgrade. And we discussed early on that we were going to do a flooring change in that space. That flooring cost was a little more expected in cost. So on the reserve study tool, we actually have the rest of the club quarters to get a flooring replacement in next year's repair and replacement schedule. So we are holding off to do that small area of their central room, and we'll do it all at once. And that was a discussion with the club, and they all agreed. They're very pleased with their area. And I'd like to put a plug in that this was a club-funded project. We put in $30,000 for the budget. We had some very favorable quotes from our vendors, and the project was completed for $15,000. So the club only had to fund $15,000, and they've been given back their $5,000, or about to be given back their $5,000 for the $20,000 that they gave down per our policy. So, thank you, club. Any questions at Beardsley? Moving over to Kuntz, the maintenance building roof restoration is in progress. That's the little building between tennis and the wood shop. That's a restorative roof project in this year's budget. Moving on to Palm Ridge, the pickleball courts number 11 through 18 resurfaced. That project was completed on 6/10. Summit Hall hardwood screen and seal completed on 7/26. And then the Palm Ridge parking lot asphalt seal and stripe was completed Monday of this week. Or Tuesday, excuse me, Tuesday of this week. And a lot of people have asked, well, didn't you just put in a brand new parking lot? Yes, after a parking lot is completed 1 year, within 12 to 18 months, it's highly recommended that we put a first seal coat on there to preserve that asphalt for its recommended life, and then I go into my normal operating every 3 to 4 years, depending on the condition of the lot for seal coating. Moving on to Pebblebrook, the Pro Shop parking lot asphalt seal and stripe project was completed on 7/16. Same exact thing, that's a 1-year-old parking lot. And then at Desert Trails, the Pro Shop parking lot asphalt seal and stripe, that was a operating reoccurring cycle seal and stripe. And then as we sit here today, Deer and Valley is in progress for the asphalt mill and replace. That is going quite well as well, and should be completed next week. Folks, I'd like to just give you an update on one other thing. This is the R.H. Johnson asphalt project. We budgeted $918,000 for that project. The bid from the winning vendor came in at approximately $780,000. And so after asphalt tear out, all my information that I put out to the public, we've all been made aware of that weather permitting and soils conditions are the two factors that always can either delay or cause changes in our funding of that project. That project does have severe soil stabilization needs. For phase 1, we have had enough in our budget to take care of that. It's in progress right now. If you were to go outside, you'll observe cement trucks coming in and laying down Portland cement and big mixers mixing it into the soils to get it stabilized. So I'm approximately $15,000 left in that budget for that project, and I still have phase 2 to complete. So I'm just making the governing board aware. I discussed this with the president yesterday, that in case of facts and findings needs to come forth, if when we tear out phase 2, if there's any soil stabilization that's necessary there. If it's within the general manager's signing authority of $49,999, then we will proceed and get that just completed. But if it goes above that, I will have facts and findings for a special meeting for the governing board. Any questions?
I do have a question, Carl.
Yes, sir.
And maybe Pete can assist in this. On the project that you have been doing over this past summer, what impact has the general inflation that we all face have you had large cost overruns?
Our budget and what we implemented in the budget is actually very favorable. So if I didn't have this cement stabilization over the last few weeks, and just to give you an idea, I have over 75% of my project line items in PO status, meaning we know exactly, we've gone to contract with vendors.
Right.
I was in a position of just the things that I manage, $256,000 to the plus. So after stabilization, we were to approximately 140. And other than what Pete knows from other departments and in positive or negative capital, we're in a favorable position today.
So if you do have remediation on phase 2, there is budgeted money that has not been used that could cover that.
Yes, in multiple conversational categories. One, we do have positive, favorable savings right now, period. And then number 2, we do have our allowance categories that we set aside for one, unexpected facility improvements, or safety and structural integrity. Those would be the 2 that I would probably have brought to the CFO and manager to discuss if we needed extra funds.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Wait a minute, we have one more question, Ann.
It's not a question for Carl, but I did want to point out, Sharon, you do know that there's a capital update that's kept online and available to everyone, and then with the financials every month that are printed in the Rec Center News, there's an update on capital. So are you wanting something, I mean, Pete can address that, but are you wanting something beyond? Because we're very transparent about that information.
It's just that it's a little difficult if you're the average person sitting out there to figure out which line item goes with which part of this presentation. So if you had, so you don't know which one you're looking at, that's all. So I thought it would be easy to be able to actually have, if it's something that we have information on, it's not hard to get out to the general public. That was all.
Okay,
Yeah, like Ann said, we work very diligently to try and make all of that as good as possible. So I did want to address Tim, and the reason why I stepped up here was the inflation is hitting. The most notable one, and this is why I'm very proud of this association, is in the equipment budget for golf. There's, I believe, roughly 40 that were approved, and early July we issued the PO en masse to Simpson Norton to acquire those. The manufacturer is Toro, and they had done a rather extensive price hike since the governing board approved. But I really admire our leadership, Todd and Dan Maurer, Todd Patty. They actually evaluated each piece of equipment and looked for whether or not certain accessory type equipment were absolutely necessary. And I just rough numbers, if like, a certain number of blades, again, I don't want to go in the weeds, but they did everything they could to offset that. And that happens in quite a bit of other categories. We always know that the governing board limit, as Carl alluded to, and by policy, we never, ever will exceed the amount. And at the October meeting, we will probably have enough, this goes to your point, Sharon, we will probably have enough issued POs and culminating payments and things like that to start to truly evaluate where we're standing in the current year. But as Ann alluded to, we gave a rather detailed summary of every project that was on the 100,000 plus and gave the over and under and the status. So we do very much attempt to keep that in the front and center.
That would be a great topic for Todd to bring to Harry's golf committee, just to get that information out there, because it's what we do on saving on expenses kind of gets lost in the hue and cry about dues. So it's really both that have to be worked. All right, thank you. Sharon.
One other comment, Pete. The reason also is that for budgeting for next year, it's nice to be able to understand exactly how each project worked. If you're trying to learn more about how the budget and finances work for the community. So that was one of the reasons why this is a way to connect the pieces.
I agree. We very much are expanding it at every effort. So
Okay. All right, great, thank you. Moving right along. Subject 3.04 is actually a carryover from last year, and it's kind of a pet project of mine. Because I think one of the things that we have to do as a board this year is convince the owner members that we're actually working in their best interest. And I think one way to do that is to have an agreement on some sort of code of conduct, if you want to call it, or how we're going to act, how we're going to conduct our business and things like that. I know I put out some things last year and it was a little too complex with repercussions and all that other kind of stuff. So what I would like to propose is developing a one-page affirmation that basically says the board is going to operate like this over the next coming year. And it'll have something about being transparent, about being, working with integrity, working with a congenial spirit with each other, that sort of thing, just to prevent some of the unpleasantness that has happened over the past. So I will be submitting something like that to the board here in the next little while, and would like you to read it, consider it. If you have changes or want additions or things like that, let's see if we can't put together a document that we can all agree on and sign. Okay? Any questions? Okay, Pete? For the next item, yes.
So unfortunately, our HR director, Marie, was unable to make it today. So the presentation she was going to make today is whether that we're communicating to the board that a decision was made to recognize the Veterans Day as a paid holiday for our full-time employees. We made this decision primarily for employee recruitment and to honor our veterans and to become more competitive in the job market. We reviewed our employee benefit handbooks and compared it against competing communities, and it was uncovered that we recognize 9 holidays annually. And that is no less than 1, but as many as 3 recognized holidays below the competition. And we also feel this is an important holiday for our staff. And when I reviewed the recognized holidays of the, I believe, 9 or 10 other competitors, every one of the other ones recognized Veterans Day, and we were the only ones that didn't. For a very nominal amount, the association will move to improve our recruitment and retention efforts, and equally important, honor our veterans. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thanks. We don't need to, I'm sorry, Ann, go ahead first.
I just have a question, but
Go ahead.
What are the holidays that we currently recognize?
New Year's Day, Martin Luther King, President's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and the day after Thanksgiving, and Christmas.
And you said it would be a nominal amount to do this. Do you have any dollars and cents you can put to that?
Yeah, the only impact is that we have a fully amount for, budgeted for our full-time employees. There's no effect there. Essentially, the people who work on the holidays would move to the time and a half that is paid for holiday recognition for them to come in and work. So it's about $8,000.
Okay, we don't need to, the board does not need to vote on this, but I would like to get consensus that we support this and appreciate recognizing our veterans. So do I have? Yes. Okay, thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep. Okay, short and sweet. That's where I like meetings. Board director comments. Dick, we'll start with you.
I have none, thank you.
Okay.
None.
No comment. Good meeting, no comment.
No comment.
No comment.
I hate to be the odd one out, but
You can just
Russ Boston is in the process of setting up the tours for the Properties Committee. If you as a board member would like to go on those tours, I have no problem with you coming. just let me know. Because if we're waiting for you to come, because we know you've signed up for that particular day, we don't want to be delayed in our schedule, because we start at 7 a.m. And so just let me know, once the schedule comes out, I'll have Karen send it out to the board. And you don't have to go on all of them, but if you're especially new to the board, you might want to go on some of those tours. Thank you.
Good, thank you, Roberta. Good catch there. We're going to open the mic up to any owner member comments that you like. Come on up and put down your name and rec number. Give us your name and rec number, and let us know what you're concerned about or want to comment on.
Hi, I'm Lynn Kellis, 129120. I just wanted to make a comment on the work that was done at the Clay Club this summer. It was far beyond what I really anticipated. They did a fabulous job. They came in over $5,000 under what we had expected it to be. And I can't say enough about Carl and his team, as well as our facility team at Beardsley, how everybody just worked with us, and they overlapped what they were doing in order to get us back in the club sooner. We were anticipating opening up the end of August, and we opened up the 17th. So everybody is really pleased, and I just want to give him the accommodation that he deserves for working so hard and having his guys just go after it. Thank you, Carl.
Good, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Brooker. It's my first time here, so I apologize for my ignorance. So I believe my member number is on the back of the key card, which is 132101.
There you go.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, good morning, board, and good morning, President. I appreciate the opportunity to talk. I wrote a couple letters. My concern is the community fund. I wrote a couple letters to the newspaper starting August 4th when I noticed over a $4 million loss in the community fund. Now, I've been a financial advisor for over 30 years, and I have trouble understanding that unless there's been some changes, there's over 90% allocation to bonds. And we're in a rising rate environment. So I don't know if everyone understands that when interest rates rise, the value of the bonds goes down. And I think right now, today, we're probably on over a $5 million loss. And so my question is, what's the objective or the rationale behind this allocation to bonds when everybody on Wall Street knows that the Federal Reserve is going to keep on raising interest rates by another point and a half by the end of the year? We've seen a 2-point increase since this purchases September of 21, according to the Cap Trust statement online. So a 2-point increase has resulted in a $5 million loss. So I'm trying to understand the logic because it makes no sense to me. I've been avoiding bonds for my clients for quite a while, and I don't understand why we're not just buying them directly from the Treasury as single issue bonds, Treasury direct. It wouldn't pay any commission, it wouldn't pay any management fees. But they're buying ETFs, which is an exchange traded fund, which are losing money. And as far as I could tell, 45% of this fund is in aggregate bond funds, which are down, I don't know, 12, 13% in the last year. So bonds have been in a bull market for 40 years. And these purchases were made at like the very top of this bull market for bonds. Bond markets move in very long cycles. And with inflation rampant like it is, if we expect the Fed to keep raising interest rates, what do we think is going to happen to those investments in the bond funds? And so I wanted to draw attention to it because I think it was a bad mistake. I don't know how you're going to get out of it without suffering a big loss. And so I'm trying to bring attention to it. I don't know the process, who made the decision, whether it's the advisor or the board, but I think something needs to be, I would advocate for a discussion, an extended discussion to figure out the details on how this happened.
Sure, thanks. We have a BNF meeting coming up on the 13th? Tuesday. That would be a great time to bring us up. Our investment strategy is set by our bylaws and policies. And it's originally set to be very conservative, capital preservation and things like that. but the B&F committee, and they have a subcommittee with investors, right?
Yeah, we actually have, coming up in the very near future, we're gonna have, presentations from Cap Trust on our, investments. On the Tuesday meeting, we're going to have a presentation on budget and the reserve fund. And when you talk about the community fund, I presume you're talking about our reserve fund.
It's, I'm going by the statements that are put out by the rec center. There was one from.
Okay, I don't know which one you're talking about. I think it's probably the reserve fund. It would do you well to either come to the budget meeting on Tuesday or to watch it, because we're gonna have a presentation on the relationship of the budget and the reserve fund and how they work together. We're also later on in the month, we're gonna, later on, I think it's maybe in October, it's in October, Cap Trust will come in and they will talk about our investments, our equities and our bond fund. And I think that you'll find that extremely important as well. As Tim said, we are a very conservative investment strategy, and I think it's something that it would do you well to hear and to hear how we came to those decisions.
No, I appreciate that. If I could just clarify one thing, there seems to be a disconnect between a conservative investment and how bond funds actually work. Their long-term bonds are not a conservative investment in a rising rate environment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? If not, then I'm gonna, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. That's all right.
I'm sorry. I was just trying to write my input down.
Maybe we could just hand her the microphone and she could do it there rather than struggling to get up there.
I don't know if that just pulled out or.
Hey, go ahead and sit down, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Marilyn Cloa, 57620 since 1997. I belong to several non-charter and charter clubs for women, basically social. And there came about something in the charter club saying that we could only have 15% guests for any social activity. I have not found anybody that can explain that. Is there some kind of an explanation as to why this is happening? Because it's kind of hurting our social clubs.
So Marilyn, you and I have discussed this on the phone, and the 15% refers to the income that a chartered club can have from non-members. It's an IRS rule for social organizations, social nonprofit 501c7s. So it's not the number of heads that participate, but it's the income from the non-members.
Ma'am, if you're still confused, excuse me, Casey Huda is in the back room. She's our recreation manager. She could probably give you a better explanation.
Okay, because the members in these clubs don't seem to even know about this.
Well, as Jack says, that's an IRS situation. It was a tax situation that came up with some of the clubs that were generating large amounts of outside revenue. For the smaller clubs, it's really not an issue. But Casey can help you understand. Yeah, would you like to come up? This is Casey Huda. She's our recreation manager.
Hi, Casey.
Hi.
I'm Marilyn.
Hi, Marilyn. I actually am meeting with the president for the Women's Club on Monday about this so we can better explain this, along with your treasurer. So it all stemmed from it stemmed a long time ago, but as Bill has explained, he uses the phrase of peeling an onion back, and every time he peeled an onion peel back, something else came about. This being that you guys, as a social club, a 501c7, can only bring in 15% of outside income. Outside meaning non-member. So your women's club is a very healthy club. So if you are bringing in women that are not part of that group, women's club, then that's considered outside income. Or is it for women's club people or girls only? Do you know? You're talking about the buses, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, so is it for women's club only?
I don't know how to explain that one. I was doing tours with the bus.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that for many years. And I was just wondering when this came up that my non-member, non-charter club members wanted to join this trip,
Okay.
so to speak. So they can't do that?
It's up, we're not telling you what you can and can't do, we're just telling you what the IRS guidelines are that should be followed. But as far as your non-charter, are we referring to charter club or non-charter club? Where is this money going? Is it going into the women's club bank account?
There is no money going into them.
Okay.
This money goes to the tour company, the bus company, and
Okay.
where we're going.
How
so
are
there's
you-
no money involved at all for the organization.
How are you promoting this then? Because under what I've seemed to understand is it's through the women's club.
Through the email, yes.
Okay, so you are marketing your tours through the women's club, correct? We're gonna do like a lot of questions.
Okay.
So you're marketing your tours through the women's club, correct?
But I'm not making any money.
I'm not worried about money.
Casey?
Yeah.
Could we take this offline and we can go ahead and adjourn the meeting? You can talk with her
Sure.
one-on-one?
That would be great, because yeah, I don't want to do anything wrong, and I've been doing this for all these years with no problem. And it's just a social thing where we want women to have friends, meet new people, and have fun.
Sure.
And also improve the members in our clubs. And then when I was told I can only have, it's like, well, I get more people from non-member clubs too.
Okay.
Non-charter.
We meet next week. I don't know the time off my, I'll check and I'll let you know, and you're more than welcome to attend that. And we can maybe figure out what exactly is going on, because it sounds like I have some
we're
different
all
information.
confused. It's just not.
And there is more stuff too, but like Tim said, I think we can talk about this with the gals as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Sure.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
All right, if there are no more comments, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. One more? Oh, I'm sorry. You have one? Okay. All right, I adjourn the meeting. Thank you.